What's up? I'm Dan Fredenberg, and this is another Chance Encounter.
Hey, what's up? I'm Dan Fredenberg. I'm a commercial real estate guy. I'm from the internet. We're seeing more properties like this being built in front of a house that's going to be torn down soon. I understand that there are power lines that are getting kind of close. What's up again? This is Dan Fredenberg, and that there is a commercial real estate building.
I'm joined today with Jameson and his hubby, named
Kate.
Kate. All right, hey Kate, we got Jason and Kate today. How are the two of you doing today?
Have a good day.
Amazing.
Excellent, excellent. I'm having a great day too. And the reason why I'm having such a great day is because my very favorite audience member has joined us here as well. And why has our favorite audience member joined us? It's because this is a chance encounter where I interview commercial real estate syndicators, buyers, sellers, operators, all that kind of stuff. Now, why would I do such a silly thing? Well, part of it is because it's the law. What you need to do if you want to be involved in private deals is you have to have a documented prior substantive relationship so you can show it to the SEC. And so I need to make sure that I'm talking to everybody in my circle, everybody who's involved in syndications, and this is how I do it. And the best part is you learn how to effectively communicate on the subject of commercial real estate and find out how my guests fit into these deals. But before we get too excited, Jason, do the two of you, like whoever wants to go first, go ahead and just say a few words about yourself.
My name is Jason, and this is my wife, Kate. We recently got into the multifamily business. We've been in single family for about 15 years. Decided it was too much work and not enough returns. And I've been looking into multifamily syndications for years now. Finally found one that I like, and they have similar values to us. Mm-hmm. And so we are getting getting our butts handed to us in information. We are learning so much over the last 2 months. It's crazy. I can't believe how helpful everybody has been.
Yep, that's definitely one of my favorite parts. Kate, do you have anything you want to say about yourself?
No, I think Jason covered basically, but we are super excited to be a part of this group. Super happy to be a part of the family, essentially.
Awesome. So now if I turn off the awful Sony thing, we can go to the next section here, which is on the 5 distinct motivations. But before that, I got to say, but wait, check your 8. And I don't mean behind you. I mean, if you're looking at the camera like a clock and you look at the 8 o'clock, it'll go right down to where the audience, if you could see their device, you might see their big, ugly red subscribe button that the audience really should hit, but no, that's just a joke. Anyway, so the 5 different motivations for commercial investors. I need to know why they're going to go through all the hassle of making one of these acquisitions. And there are different reasons that people do that. One of them is preservation of purchasing power. So some people, they've already got a portfolio of assets, and the way they make ends meet is by the proceeds of that portfolio that they own, the cash flow that comes from it. Now, the name of the game is to not get rid of your assets unless they're not performing. So the only reason they'll make another acquisition is if inflation is eating away from their purchasing power, or there's an asset crash so they can buy at a deep discount. That is not what I'm up to personally. What I am up to is I'm trading time directly for wealth. So I've got a background in technology, specifically in the CRM industry. But the thing about CRMs is the ones I work with are special because they also accept credit cards. So it's more than just like mass emailing and all that kind of fun stuff. It's putting together your entire digital funnel. But one of the problems of having a salary, having a job like that, is you're paying more in tax than anybody else. So it hit me, shouldn't I pivot into something where I'm getting rewarded in the form of deployed capital, aka equity? And that's why I'm doing this. But many people, I'm a bit different, right? Many people are actually getting into this because they want to take control of their schedule. Maybe that means they want to retire early. Maybe that means they want to work fewer months per year. But regardless, you know, if they're this group, then that's what they want to do, is they want to kind of dial back a bit. But the next group They never want to dial back because they're just plain too ambitious. They're looking for that generational wealth. They want to make sure that their great grandchildren never have to hold a day job. And so that's why they keep on hustling into their 90s, which is fantastic to have on your team. But there's one other group that also will be hustling into their 90s, but that's because they've picked a sector of society or maybe the environment, or they want to send people to Mars. Who knows what it is? But they realize you need to have a substantial amount of financial backing if you're really going to make a big impact. So, Jason, do you want to start off? What do those 5 motivations describe you, and then Kate as well?
I mean, I want to create wealth that I can pass down to generations, but I'm certainly not planning to do it into my 90s.
I love
I'm
that.
going to retire at 60, and I'm going to have plenty to retire on and pass down to my kids and their kids.
I love that. I love that. Does that match with you, Kate, or are there some other that a combination of them that you think describes you best?
Well, that and also like helping others as well achieve their success. So building the strong team, working with the strong individuals, and making sure that we actually help community as well.
I love it. I love it. And my next question has to do with tolerance for risk. And the reason for that is because some people come into this industry and, they hear, oh, wow, there's lots of money in commercial real estate, so we should be doing it. But of course, it also comes with some risks, and I need to make sure that my guest understands that. So I have this fill in the blank question. There are many popular investment asset classes, but I think blank is too risky. What do you guys think is too risky? It can be real estate or non-real estate. It's up to you.
Crypto.
Crypto. Same for you, Kate?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you're just indifferent. Nothing's too risky for you in particular. Nothing jumps out as something that's too awful. Just crypto.
Anything else?
Well, even like if having your funds in stock or bonds or whatever it could be, right? So you never know like what tomorrow is going to be, right? So with real estate, it's definitely like you have something that you can rely on. You actually have walls, you have the roof, you have the actual like material thing that you can definitely know that is there.
Excellent.
To me, the riskiest thing is not investing in anything at all.
You're absolutely right. Yeah, the whole system's designed based off of equity multiples. And if you're not getting some sort of exposure to that, you're going to die poor for sure. So, but that is what brought me to commercial real estate. And speaking of which, in every single one of these episodes, to make sure that you can effectively communicate on the subject of commercial real estate and understand how my guest, in this case guests, fit into a commercial deal, I use the Dan Does Deals Core Competency Cube, and you can get your copy at dandoesdeals.com. It's totally free. You can print it out, and like a dummy, I don't even ask for your email address. And from a marketing perspective, you should always do that. You should always ask for some sort of contact information whenever you give something away, but I don't, because I want to make sure that you have no barriers to just printing it out, learning the different sides, practicing on your friends and family. That's the only way that you're going to really knock this industry out of the park. But in each episode, I go through all 6 sides. It takes about 2 minutes, and that way you know how my guest fits in. So first, let's talk about repositioners, if the glare goes away. Repositioners, they look at a bunch of different properties. There we go, that's my angle. And they do a bunch of paperwork. What are they doing with the paperwork? Well, there's a fancy word for it. That fancy word is underwriting. It means do the math, figure out how you're going to proceed. You need to find out, first of all, is this property even making the amount of money that this owner, this seller, this broker is saying it is? And then I call them repositioners because they're trying to figure out how do they change how the property is run or some sort of detail so that there's more upside. The first thing that all repositioners are going to do is they're going to get a network of financiers, banks, lenders in general. And so they're people who deal only with paper and with money, and they're going to try and get more advantageous lending. Okay, so that's one way to find upside without doing anything particularly magical. But let's assume that's not on the table. The first place the repositioner is going to look is the operations. They're going to stop those Benjamins from going down the toilet. But of course, there's more to operations than just unclogging toilets and collecting rent. Me personally, I get the advantages to my teams for when I'm involved is I'm a strong marketer, which means that if there's a problem with vacancy rates, that means I can, hop in and help out. But I also am in automations, so that's another thing that's handy. But of course, Operations, because commercial real estate is so competitive, it's often not enough to really find enough upside. So the repositioner gets a contractor team. And so that way they do a value add or renovations on the units so that the new tenants will be happy to pay more in rent than the previous ones. But fixing up those units, you can spend a lot of money, you can lose a lot of money. So the most important thing you're going to have if you have the same problem I have, you see, I'm from the internet. So that means I need a local. I need somebody who lives nearby who can be there in an hour or two, because that's not going to be me. I'm going to be stuck at the airport in an hour or two. So repositioners need all this team. And then once they find the property, they turn around to the financier. They say, hey, I got this property. It's a 350 unit apartment complex. Do you have tens of millions of dollars you want to lend us? That's what the repositioner is going to ask. But the financier is going to have one other question in their mind, which is, who is your sponsor KP? So let's say you're a doctor or an engineer or something like that. You got a bunch of friends who want to take over this 350 unit apartment complex. Well, if you want to be eligible for the loan, somebody in the fold has to already own a similar asset. Sometimes KPs, they actually provide balance sheet because the ownership team, they need a balance sheet of at least the amount of the loan. And then on top of that, you need a certain amount of liquidity. But if you have all those pieces, you've got a commercial real estate deal. So Jason, I don't know if you want to take it away. You seem to be a little bit more talkative, but what do you guys expect your main contributions to be?
Acquisitions, finding deals.
Mm-hmm.
We work with other people who can find investors.
Excellent. So the repositioner side in the acquisition field for that sounds like the big one for you. So then the next question has to do with the ideal property. And when commercial syndicators, investors, and whatnot are saying, hey, what's your ideal property? What's your buy box? They're asking about three main things. First one's geography. Where is it? Which states, which counties, possibly even which neighborhood, it's all going to matter, okay? The second one is the size. We're talking about multifamily right now, so unit count is how they decide the size, and it's important because you're going to have a different type of team taking over a 15-unit apartment complex versus one that are doing 150, 350-unit apartment complexes, right? Now, the third one has to do with the class. And unfortunately, they often use the same word for two different things when they say class. The first one is the condition of the building. And that means, is it old or is it up to date? Is it beat up or is it in reasonably good shape? Is it really, really no frills or is it full of luxuries and amenities? Okay, that's the first meaning. The second one has to do with the area. That's the other name for it when they're not saying class. But what they're really talking about is how are the school districts where this property is located? What's the crime rate like where this property is located? And both of those two are rated with the same system as in grade school, where the top is A plus, and then it's A, and then A minus, and B plus, and so on. So as far as you guys go, though, if somebody's got a property in hand, what's easier to say yes to and more difficult to say no to?
Well, it's definitely easier to say yes when a property is below its area ranking. So a B level apartment in an A area is ideal. I like to see under terribly managed properties that don't really need a lot of money put into, just get the expenditures under control.
Excellent. So your operations piece is where you're really looking. That's awesome. So then my next question has to do with people then. And the thing that's wonderful about commercial real estate is because it's multifaceted, we're all really eager to help each other and help you build new teams. But even though that's the case, we all have our own unique skill sets, so we're better off helping some people than others. Traditionally, because I'm on the internet, it's the sponsors and KPs that I think I can make the disproportionate difference with, because they've got enough foundation for a guy like me. But I find myself more often looking for locals all over America to be the boots on the ground. But as far as you guys go, I don't know if you have any 506B deals going on right now, but if you do, you got to be careful not to entice any investors. So if you have like a chocolate bar or something like that, make sure you don't wave it in front of the camera and entice anybody. But you're allowed to say people who are just beginners, and if you want to help them out. But who are you disproportionately well suited to help?
It's a good question. I think we are well supported to help everybody in the deal. I would say especially investors. I'm very particular about taking good care of my investors. I want to make sure their money is being taken care of and that they're getting a good return. I don't look at anything that's not going to get them at least 60% at the end of the deal.
Right. Gotcha. Beautiful. So then the next question then has to do with how to reach out to you. I'm pretty easy to get a hold of because I got a distinct last name. So LinkedIn is a great way to find me because I'm there all the time. I find that's a much better spot for commercial syndicators. But if you use your phone to scan this QR code, that goes to the FAQs page of 506BME, which is a service I use to help syndicators document their investor relations, just so that when the SEC audits you and says, hey, let's see the documentation for all your investor relationships, showing you have that personal relationship, you got something where you're not worried about the IT. So you can check that out if you're interested. But how about you guys? What's the best way to reach out?
You can reach out to either my phone number or my email.
What are you comfortable giving, like on camera? Is like there a social media platform, or are you fine with giving one of those?
We're in the process of building our social media. We're on Facebook, LinkedIn. We're on YouTube. What's the other one? Instagram. Thank you.
Instagram. Okay.
It's
okay.
all Jackson Holdings.
Oh, Jackson. Okay, so the JACSID Holdings. Okay, cool. Good stuff. So then the only thing left then, it's actually not for you guys, it's for you and the camera. It's kind of like a PSA, a public service announcement, which is if you've been watching this interview and you've been noticing like searing pains in your eyeballs and like migraine like symptoms, it's probably because under my left hand here, there's probably a hideous red button that says subscribe on it, and if you hit it, it turns into the gray button of tranquility, and it does not cause that doesn't happen anymore. And it has an extra magical power, which is it means that YouTube might actually start paying for these videos instead of me, which I'd really like. And as far as you're concerned, it costs you absolutely nothing. It means my videos might show up on your list of suggestions, but you can go ahead and ignore those suggestions. I'm perfectly fine with that. I just appreciate the fact that you spent this time with me. Just like Jason and Kate, it's been great spending this time with you. Thanks a lot for joining me today.
Thank you for having us.
Awesome.
Make sure you 506B me. Any syndicators, make sure you 506B me.
Hi.
Oh, hey, yeah, here's my code. You got your QR code scanner? Okay, yeah, oh yeah, just hold it right in the square there. Okay, cool. And now you hit open in browser.
Okay.
Okay, are you already logged into 506BME?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, so there's my video. So now I'm already on your watch list. So when you get back to your hotel, you can find out what my core competencies are and my level of sophistication. Sound good?
Yeah.
I love your hat. Real estate's a scam. That's really funny.
Yeah.
Nice meeting you.
You too.
506BME, everybody.